The Super Nintendo and Super Famicom have such an incredible library of action RPGs, truly the golden era of the genre. But with such a large library, it may be hard to figure out which ones are truly worth diving into these days. So sit back, relax, and let's get right to it. Squaresoft's 1993 release of Secret of Mana needs no introduction. You most certainly cannot have a list of the greatest action RPGs for the SNES and not include Secret of Mana. In fact, it's actually illegal to do so. You play as a boy named Randy.
What do you want to do?
Randy, don't!
Who discovers a sword guided by a disembodied voice. You pull the sword free, inadvertently unleashing monsters into your village and the surrounding area. The villagers interpret the sword's removal as a bad omen and banish you from the village forever. You are then told that the sword is actually the legendary Mana Sword and you must re-energize it by visiting the 8 Mana Temples. During your adventure, you meet a sprite and a girl searching for her lost love. The graphics are one of the key highlights, being bright and colorful, a staple of the Mana series, with colorful sprites, detailed environments, and imaginative character designs that are beautifully crafted. Your other 2 party members are controlled by AI during battle, but you can seamlessly switch back and forth between the characters during combat and traversal. The game also allows for co-op, where another player takes control of one of the remaining 2, which makes such a fun and fantastic co-op experience. If you somehow haven't played Secret of Mana yet, you absolutely must play this game at some point in the near future. And with the Collection of Mana on the Switch, you can easily jump into this game on the go, and has since become my preferred way to play it. Secret of Mana will take you around 20 hours to beat, and is well worth every bit of it. Quintet's 1993 release of Illusion of Gaia is their follow-up to Soul Blazer. Right off the bat, the upgrades and sophistication of this game over the former is apparent. You play as Will, a young boy who is still reconciling the loss of his parents after returning home from a disastrous trip from the Tower of Babel, where Will was the only survivor. After stumbling into the dark space, you encounter a being called Gaia, as it reveals to you that you are the chosen hero who must leave your hometown in order to save the world from an impending evil. The gameplay is a perfect blend of combat, puzzle solving, and light platforming. As Will, you'll be armed with a flute, with attacks feeling fluid and responsive. And at certain points, you'll have access to 2 other forms, Frieden, the Dark Knight, and Shadow, just a solid form of monster-beating energy. The graphics are beautiful 16-bit pixels with large sprites and wonderfully designed environments inspired by real-world ancient landmarks. Overall, Illusion of Gaia is an incredible 16-bit action adventure that should be on everyone's top 10 list in some form, and is definitely a must-play. It'll take you around 15 hours or so to beat. Squaresoft's 1995 release of Secret of Evermore is a game that was never released in Japan, and was only ever officially released in North America, as well as Australia and Europe a year later. And even though the title and gameplay strongly resemble Secret of Mana, there is absolutely no relation whatsoever. With different environments ranging from primordial insect-infested swamps and jungles, to pirate-riddled beaches, coliseums, deserts, castles, and space stations. The gameplay has such responsive controls, especially when fighting against multiple enemies. You are given a stamina meter that will deplete after every attack, or while sprinting. But this meter quickly fills back up to 100% as to not leave you out of the battle for too long. You'll gain access to a wide array of weapons, all unique with their pros and cons, and each with the ability to level up in strength, starting with the simple femur bone that acts as a club, to axes, spears, swords, and even a bazooka that you'll find in the futuristic world of Omnitopia. You'll also have a dog alongside you, acting as a support character, able to attack and defend, as well as sniff out items such as currency, healing items, and alchemy ingredients. All in all, if you are a fan of action RPGs, Secret of Evermore is a must-play. Even for people like myself, who are fans of the quirky, retro-inspired indie RPGs, this game fits that handcrafted indie vibe very well. It'll take you around 24 hours to beat. On the reverse side of Secret of Evermore, Trials of Mana, developed for the Super Famicom, never saw a release in the West. However, that was until the 2019 release of the Collection of Mana, containing all 3 Mana games, as well as for the first time an official localization of Trials. The game's 6 playable characters offer a level of narrative depth that was groundbreaking for its time. You can choose 3 heroes to form your party, and those choices influence the storyline and the major plot points. This branching narrative encourages multiple playthroughs, with each journey feeling fresh and personal. The gameplay is of course also fantastic, albeit admittedly a bit clunky at times. However, with the ability to control any member of your party during battles, in conjunction with the use of magic and melee attacks, provides a very fun blend of action and strategy. Its innovative mechanics, engaging storylines, and top-notch graphics make it a must-play for the fan of any genre. And with it being included in the Collection of Mana, available on the Nintendo Switch, there is no reason not to give this one a shot. It'll take you around 26 hours to beat. Wolf Team's 1995 release of Tales of Fantasia is the first game in the Tales series, and as a matter of fact, is the first and only Tales game that I have ever played up to this point, which I know that is a travesty, and I plan on fixing that at some point in the near future. Recommend me some Tales games, and I will try them out. Developed by a team that went on to create Star Ocean, there are many parallels between the two, including the combat. With its linear motion battle system, the fight is played out on a two-dimensional field that usually stretches wider than a single screen width, so that the screen can scroll to the left and to the right, depending on where the characters and opponents are located. You only control your character directly, executing attacks and spells in real time, while allies act semi-autonomously, creating a fast-paced yet strategic experience. The game opens up with 4 heroes in battle with a powerful wizard named Dals. During the battle, knowing he is about to die, he transports himself several years into the future, where he is immediately stomped on by a descendant of one of the 4 heroes he was literally just fighting. Talk about some bad luck. 12 years later, you set out as Cress and Chester after your entire village has been nearly wiped out, which leaves you on a grand adventure. The game's graphics and art style are nothing short of awe-inspiring on the Super Famicom. From dense forests and ancient castles, towns, and cities, every environment is richly detailed and full of life. The music composed by the legendary Moti Sakuraba nails it on every level. If you're a fan of action RPGs with beautifully told stories, lush pixel art, and an incredible soundtrack to boot, definitely give Tales of Fantasia a shot. It'll take you around 40 hours to beat. Culture Brain's 1991 release of Super Ninja Boy is a charming and goofy as hell action RPG that oozes personality and retro charm. Taking players on a whimsical adventure through a colorful world filled with quirky enemies, 90s humor, and a mix of gameplay styles including beat-em-up mechanics that keeps the experience fresh and engaging. As you progress through the story as Jack, or better yet, in co-op as Jack and Ryu, you randomly encounter enemies on the world map in dungeon areas, a la Dragon Quest or early Final Fantasy. This is where you enter a side-scrolling battle screen where you can jump, punch, and throw enemies, as well as use items like shurikens and techniques. A game perfectly crafted for those 1990s Friday nights with friends, complete with Pizza Hut, soda, and an unhealthy amount of action movies starring Hulk Hogan. I mean, he wasn't in way too many and surprising amount of movies in the 90s. However, Suburban Commando was S tier though, fight me. I definitely recommend this game if you're looking for a fun, lighthearted action RPG that you can play through in a night, especially one that you can play in co-op. It'll take you around 4 hours to beat. 1996's Front Mission Gun Hazard, developed by Omiyasoft and published by Squaresoft for the Super Famicom, taking that step away from its tactical roots allows Gun Hazard to offer a fast-paced, story-rich experience that feels fresh and exciting. Rather than playing on a grid-based map, battle sequences take place on a side-scrolling 2D map. You play as a soldier named Albert Grabner as you are sent to ward off a coup to overthrow the government by Ark Hellbrand. The game progresses with you completing missions, setting up your mechs and vehicles, with you being able to outfit your mech with a variety of weapons, equipment, and upgrades, allowing for a highly personalized approach to combat. And after defeating enemies, you of course level up, which gives you access to stronger weapons and armor. The sprite work is detailed and expressive, with large mechs and fluid animations as you blast your way through each scenario, with some very interesting and detailed environments and characters that you interact with. The music is also a huge standout, surprisingly being composed by the great Yasunori Matsuda of Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. If you are a fan of the Front Mission series and are looking for a very enjoyable spin-off, or just a fan of action RPGs in general, definitely give Front Mission Gun Hazard a shot. It'll take you around 18 hours to complete. Tri-Ace and Enix's 1996 release of Star Ocean for the Super Famicom brought together staff that had previously left Wolf Team, the team that created Tales of Fantasia. With a story involving 3 friends, Radix, Dorn, and Millie, as the town of Kul has contracted a disease that turns its inhabitants into stone. They set out to find a cure, coming in contact with a space federation that is locked in a war with another galactic power. With the story being engaging and layered, combining elements of science fiction and fantasy in a way that feels fresh and unique. The graphics are a huge standout, with Triforce and Enix completely pushing the Super Famicom to its breaking limits as far as the hardware goes. The use of the SDD1 chip for data compression allowed the developers to include more assets than almost any other SNES or Famicom title. And it absolutely shows in the game's richly detailed world and dynamic battle sequences. During exploration in the overworld or dungeon, random encounters occur, sending you into a separate screen for battle. With combat being similar to the aforementioned Tales of Fantasia game, however, with Star Ocean, you battle within an isometric field of view. If you are a fan of Star Ocean, have played the remake Star Ocean The First Departure, or have recently picked up and fell in love with Star Ocean The Second Story R, you absolutely owe it to yourself to play this game. And luckily enough for us, a France translation was also completed by the same person that managed the Tales translation. Star Ocean will take you around 30 hours to complete. Teranigma. A masterpiece of storytelling, exploration, and emotional depth, and it stands out as one of the crown jewels of the Super Famicom library, showcasing some truly impressive graphical capabilities that still hold up so well to this day. With the story branching from the tried and true RPG trope of a young kid setting out in order to save his village, to a story that spans throughout the recreation of the world and whether or not the existence of humans is or not beneficial for the life of the planet. As you set out as Ark, you leave your village of Krista for the first time in your life after opening a box that contains a demon named Yomi who acts as your guide. You'll enter this box in order to access your menu system, equipping weapons, armor, items, and so on. However, this opening has led to the immediate freezing of everyone in the village, and you must seek out 5 towers in order to revive your friends. In doing so, you begin a massive journey that entails resurrecting the entire world after a cataclysmic battle between good and evil has destroyed everything. The gameplay is similar to the previous games in the Gaia trilogy, however it is completely refined at this point, featuring attacks with your main weapon or through the use of magical rings and medals that you can purchase from the magic shops after collecting magi rocks and shelling out a few bucks, allowing for the player to use fire, ice, or electrical attacks. With the inclusion of having the abilities such as run, jump, and swim, the gameplay mechanics are fluid and responsive, making battles dynamic and engaging. The soundtrack is a beautiful composition, right up there with the best of the genre, with the overworld track fitting perfectly with the scenery, and really putting into perspective the grand scale of the adventure that you're embarking on. It is without a doubt one of my favorite OSTs of all time, and is worth a playthrough alone just for the music. Teranigma is still one of the greatest action RPGs ever made, innovating the genre in a way that is still inspiring game developers to this day, and is truly a combination of the previous 2 games in the Gaia trilogy, Soul Blazer and Illusion of Gaia. In fact, a collection of Gaia trilogy would be such a fantastic inclusion. Come on, Square Enix, make it happen. Teranigma will take you around 19 hours to beat. But what do you guys think? What are some of your most favorite SNES era action RPGs? And is there any game that you would add or subtract off of my list? Let me know that and everything else in the comments below. And if you would, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It would help the channel grow so much. But most importantly, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day, and I will see you on the next video.